Welcome to your journey of healing with the Healing Podcast, hosted by licensed clinician Monique Owe and co-host Dr. Amber Mohn.
Thank you for tuning in to the Healing Podcast. I'm your host, Monique Owe, and I am joined by my lovely co-host here,
Dr. Amber Mohn.
Today's topic is creating space for you. Well, what does that mean? That means kind of making room from maybe the people in your life or the things or even some of the places you're going to that are really just affecting you. And learning how to create space from that, making your own space for yourself so that you can do what you need to do for your life. So that's what this topic is about. It's just about creating more space just for you. It's more so about focusing on you because too many times we're making space for others. So let me give you a real actual example so you can understand what I'm saying. So let me give you a visual. You know how in your house, right? If you're going to buy new furniture or a new couch or table, so you make space for that thing, right? You clear out all the old, you make a nice space by that wall, right, in the room, and everything looks nice so that couch will fit in perfectly, right, to that space. You made a space for that couch or that table or something to belong. Well, for your own life, you need to make space for yourself so that you can belong, so that you can do things for yourself. That's what I mean about creating space, because if you got stuff occupying those spaces, you can't put that new thing there. You can't grow. You can't expand. Tell me how you're going to do it if you're going to put the new couch with the old couch still there. What are you going to do? Put it on top of each other? It's not going to work. So, Dr. Mohn, when it comes to creating space for ourselves so that we can do what we need to do for us, why is that a struggle for people to do? You would think that's very simple.
Oh, yeah. Well, let me just say, for some people it is. But for most people, it is not. Because we are not, and I'm going to have to throw out the B word, boundaries. We cannot put up boundaries, or if we do, we can't hold them because we can't say no. When they ask, we say yes, even if we don't want to. We try to, muster up a grin and we say yes. Instead of sometimes we just can't say no.
Just because you can't say no. And I think, here's what happens with that. You're right. You're doing that, and now you're stressed because you knew you didn't have the space to do it. You didn't have the time. You didn't have the energy, but now you did it. And you're either going to be frustrated doing this thing or you're going to feel unappreciated, because even if that person does appreciate you doing it, you're going to feel like they're not appreciating you the way you want it because you sacrificed whatever you just did to do this, and they're not showing enough gratitude to you for you sacrificing, I don't know, your day off or something for them. But you chose to do that. Yeah. That person didn't know what you let go. Here's the thing. When somebody asks you for a favor, right? They're asking you for a favor. You deciding to do the favor was you. They don't know what it took or what it's going to take for you to do that favor. So for you to get upset at them because they're not showing gratitude that you wanted would be wrong because you decided to do so. You can't then also want them to understand everything you had to sacrifice to help them. That would be wrong. The only thing you had to do was say no. Like Dr. Mohn said, the only thing you had to do was not do it. But so you don't create space. That's from people. That's from certain places that you should be going to that are not good for you anymore. Like creating space and distance from, I don't know, let's see, what's something, Dr. Mohn, what's something, okay, how about an event? Maybe you used to be a concert goer or a festival, but now you're not into it anymore. Like I don't want to go around all those people. And I'm not even talking about because of the pandemic, just maybe I just don't like that crowd anymore, right? So instead of you creating space from that type of event, you decide to go because a friend of yours said we should go. You knowing darn well that you've been dealing with anxiety or panic attacks lately, what, these big events really kind of trigger me. Well, Dr. Mohn, how are they going to enjoy that event?
They're not. They're going to be faking through it. And either they're going to, be terrorized the entire time with anxiety, or they're not going to be able to stay the entire time.
Yep, exactly.
You knew when you went there.
When you went there, you shouldn't have gone. What was going to happen? But you decided to go, and you made everybody else's time uneventful. I'll say. I won't say miserable, uneventful, because if you have a panic attack, people are going to want to help you. They're not going to know what's going on. So they're not going to be focusing on the event either. So you have not even created space from places, right? Or how about places that have just not have been good for you? If there's a place that is triggering for you, maybe you're a person who had an addiction and you know there's a certain spot that if you go there, it's going to make you fall back into that addiction, and I'm talking about active addiction, right? Let's say you've been clean or sober or away from that thing for a while. Like if you're a gambler, right? You did a big job. You did a lot. You turned your life around. You don't go to any casino or anything. You have stopped. But you decided to go, I don't know, to a race, to the horse track or something, right? Now, you know, all of a sudden now you're back to that environment again. Well, I think I'll go ahead and do it again. I think I can go ahead and place a small bet. And next thing you know, you're back losing your house again or losing something else because you decided to go back gambling, right? So again, creating space from those places that are not good for you or those things. Everything is not good for you, right? Create space from those things. Let's make it real simple. What about food? You know, there's certain food that I need to stay away from. I don't even need to go in there because if I go in there, I'm going to want it. And I know if I eat that thing, it's going to be a problem now, right? Like, because your diet had to change, right? It's not even about being overweight or anything. This is about, let's say you're a person who you used to be able to eat, I don't know, dairy or sweets, but now it's just really bad. It just causes big problems. And you decide to go into that fresh gourmet chocolate shop. Dr. Ma, tell me how they going to say no. If you're going to go inside the place, how you going to do it? And get by the thing.
Because if it's me, I'm not. I'm eating it. I'm ordering it.
Exactly. So as simple as that might sound, it is a big thing. And this is what I mean. You need to create space from people, from places, from things, because it's creating harm for you, you know.
Or even, Monique, even social media.
Yep.
I know
Talk
a
about
handful of people who take social media breaks because it can consume you. And, you know, it could, I know people personally that social media is a big issue in their relationship because you can't stop scrolling. You cannot put that phone down. And so that's something that, you know, can mess up the relationship.
Yes. That's true. Thank you, Dr. Mohn, for bringing the social media up. That is a big thing because it is there. It is very consuming. How many of you have noticed one day you have been scrolling, it's been 3 hours and you're like, man, I was over here and I went down the rabbit hole, went here. And next thing you know, it's 3 hours later. So, and now your partner looking at you like, you gonna put the phone down? You know, we were supposed to go do something, but you sitting there.
Yes.
Oh, wait, I got to post one more comment. Wait, one more comment. Hold on. Yes, even that. So it's creating space from your phone. How about that, right? Because it's not good for you. You know, you're not taking care of yourself. From people, create space sometimes. From people who have not been respectful of your boundary, create some distance sometimes. I'm not saying you got to cut them off, but you do got to kind of create a different environment. How about that person, Dr. Mohn, how about that ex that has been terrible? You know, it's been terrible. Y'all been done. It's been done. But they're still
around.
Right. They like to somehow be connected and watch what that person is doing. Why do people do that, Dr. Mohn? When they know it's going to piss them off to see what that ex is doing. Why do they do that?
They just, you know what? I would like to know that question too. Is why? Monique, I can't answer that. I don't know.
Create some distance.
Yes.
Why is that person still on your page?
And typically because, you know, just because you say you're done doesn't mean that you're done. That doesn't mean what your heart is saying.
Right.
You know, or it could be something like, I just want them to be doing bad or worse without me. Let me see who they're with now. Is she cuter than me or whatever?
Right.
So.
And I don't know, is that helpful? Do you want to really see that? Because let's just say this. Let's say you in your mind think, the new girlfriend does. Wow, she does look, I think, better than me. I'm a little bit more fluffier. She's a little bit more curvier. Right. I'm a little bit more, I'm slim, and she's curvy. Or, you know, I'm curvy, she's slim. Whatever. She has long hair, I have short hair. Vice versa. If you see that, are you going to feel better? To see that? No. Now you done opened up another door for yourself of suffering because now you're wondering, I wasn't good enough. That's why he left me. Or that's why we left. That's why we broke up. Do you need to see that? Create space. You know what? Even with the people in their lives. Because, you know, I know relationships are hard because you build connection, especially if it's a marriage. If you got divorced, that was your mother-in-law, father-in-law, sister-in-law, all that. No, you can't always be friends with them anymore.
No.
Dr. Mohn, I believe sometimes if the relationship is over, everything needs to be over.
Oh, absolutely.
But that's your best friend. I get it. We might not be able to do that anymore. Not right now. I know that's hard. But because I can't. Because somehow you're going to mention this person. You don't need to hear about that person. Just respectfully. I don't want to hear about it. I don't want to hear that you're going, I don't need to, even by mistake, let me just keep some distance until my life gets in a certain place. Then maybe I can kind of reconvene with you. But you choose to stay there and be all up in it, suffering.
Yes.
I know you're not happy. I know you're not happy.
Right.
But anyway, let's make a quick segue here, Dr. Mohn. And let's go into, you guessed it, the situation. Dr. Mohn, what's our situation for today?
All right, here we go. Dear Healing Podcast, I am recently divorced. It is upsetting because I really wanted my marriage to work. However, between financial issues, poor communication, and just life issues, my wife and I divorced. There was no infidelity. It just was a lot of differences of opinion. My issue now is that I'm divorced and in constant think mode. I feel like I changed everything about me to make my ex-wife happy, but it didn't work. Even cut off some friends at my wife's request. My issue now is that I feel what seems like resentment towards my ex-wife, and I don't want to turn it into hate and really change what I'm about. My question is, how can I get past the resentment? Wow, thank you for writing in. It's not going to be easy, but I think that it's important that you really focus on your role in your relationship, in your marriage. What did you allow your wife to do that you weren't uncomfortable with, or that you really didn't want to do? Ask yourself, was that really reasonable? And my thing is, I think that you're going to have to accept what happened. You're going to have to forgive yourself, forgive your wife, learn from your mistakes, and then move on. That is really all you can do. Forgiving her may, if you can, since it sounds like, the marriage ended, amicably, maybe you could have a conversation with her. You might get an apology, or, hey, you were right. This is how I was feeling. You might get a better understanding. And that's just an option. You don't have to, but I think that whether you do or whether you don't, you're going to have to forgive yourself. And the biggest thing is learn from the mistakes that you made in that relationship, and don't do it again with this next person. Do not ever change who you are for someone, especially if it's unreasonable. I would want to know why she asked you to cut these people off, because it was just because she didn't like you. Like them, not because they were bad people or changing your mind or making you act funny. But if it was just because she didn't like them, don't do that again. That's her insecurities, not yours. So I would just say you must accept your role in the relationship. Never change who you are for anyone else, and move on.
Thank you, Dr. Mohn. I like the response. Thank you for those responses, Dr. Mohn, for your feedback. Thank you for writing into the Healing Podcast. I'm just going to go here. How do you not develop resentments? With Dr. Mohn, I think you first going to have to forgive yourself. You're going to have to work on self. Release what you feel like you did that you shouldn't have done. Work on that first, right? Getting to the point of forgiving your wife, you're going to have to, but I think that might take some time, it appears, because I think you're probably hurt. No one likes their marriage to end. But I am going to say what Dr. Mohn said, forgive yourself first. And maybe I am going to suggest you should be talking to a therapist or maybe a life coach. And if not that, find a person that you really, really trust as a good confidant that's objective but has good wise counsel. Sometimes we have some people in our lives like that can just kind of help you step by step to work on you. Develop maybe a new hobby, a new craft, so you can focus more on you. So that eventually you can get to the place of realizing, look, what I did that was wrong, like in that relationship, compromise who I was. I shouldn't have did that. Won't do that again. And whatever you did gain, I would say whatever your wife did help you do, that was good. That would probably help you release the resentment. Like if she helped you, maybe she helped you change your finances. Maybe she helped you change your health. Maybe you were eating unhealthy. She did bring a health element. So she did something good because you guys were married. Focus on what she did do good. So first, forgive yourself, I think. Get somebody you can confide in. And remember the good that she did do. So that way it's not developing into this hate. And then eventually you can work on however you decide to forgive. And like Dr. Mohn said, maybe one day you will have a conversation with her. But I don't think that's right now. So don't put a time limit on that. All right. So thank you for writing into the Healing Podcast. Again, if you want to write into the Healing Podcast, go to email support@thehealingpodcast.com, or go to the website, thehealingpodcast.com, hit the contact tab. Now, let's go ahead and give a quick word to our sponsor. You know it, Healing Expressions.
Are you someone who has been considering therapy? Perhaps someone else has told you that you need to talk to a therapist. Or maybe you're in a relationship and you want to discuss some challenges that you've been facing with your significant other. Maybe there's a communication issue, perhaps an incident of infidelity, or maybe you just want to strengthen your relationship because you guys are thinking about taking another step. Maybe you're struggling with anxiety or depression, perhaps grief, life stressors, and you just want to share your thoughts with someone. Well, consider contacting Healing Expressions. Healing Expressions is a private practice located in the Atlanta, Georgia area. You will be given a session at an affordable price with a licensed therapist. If this resonates with you, consider going to healingexpressionsllc.com, reading about the practice, and hitting the contact tab to see if you can book a session. All right, thank you so much. And back to the Healing Podcast.
Okay, so back into the topic at hand, creating space for you. Well, Dr. Mo, we talked about all the things that happen when people don't create space. I think sometimes even creating space sometimes means you might have to create distance between even people you love, Dr. Mohn.
Yes.
Because sometimes the people we love, family, right, they're good for us. They are. We love them. But there sometimes gets to a point where maybe it's a stage in your life, Dr. Mo, where they're not good for you, what you got going on. Maybe you had a conflict. You try and express to them how they do stuff to you. Like maybe it's an older sibling. And you feel like, okay, your older sibling never respects you. Or maybe it's a younger sibling that always does stuff. And you're like, man, you always do stuff and that it's crazy, right? Being around them might be harmful. And you might have tried to, maybe Dr. Mo, they've tried to explain to this person, let me tell you what your behavior does to me. And the person just doesn't receive it. Well, I do this because it is. Someone says, well, I do that because it is. In that sense, Dr. Mohn, would distance help? Maybe that person we need to just take a break from hanging out so much.
Absolutely. It's, I always say protect your peace. And, if it's, and that includes family too. Sometimes, or a lot of times, family can be toxic. They can. And so, yeah, it doesn't mean that you don't love them. Doesn't mean that you can't, eventually, come back together. But if every time you go, like you said, go to the family functions and they all, always fighting, always got something going on, then maybe you kind of just, don't go, for a while, or just protect your peace.
You have to do that.
Yes.
I think here's the thing, because if you don't do that, it's only going to make things worse for you, and you will develop resentment towards them.
Yes.
So before it turns into that and a serious conflict where you haven't talked to that family member in 15 years, I think create some distance. Realize even if it's family, I can hang out with you on a light lunch. We cool, but getting into deep conversations, no, because you're going to always deny the things you did to me or things like that. That's just it's never going to come. We're never going to come to an agreement. So I prefer right now, until you can acknowledge what you do, I'd rather just keep it very light. I see you for little lunches. I see you at the family functions, but other than that, we're not hanging out anymore. I think that's okay. I think people feel bad about it, Dr. Mohn. Sometimes people feel bad about creating boundaries, and I don't know why. Why do people feel so bad about creating boundaries? I don't know what the problem is.
I think, it offends people. Not everybody is happy about the space you've created, and that's okay. But, if you're a people pleaser and you don't want anybody to be upset with you, to have an attitude with you, say anything about you, then when you create this space and they do those things, you feel bad. But you just have to go back to, why did I create this space? Because every time you come around, it's an argument or it's a fight, or you need all the attention and you ruin all of the functions that we have. That's why I don't come around. Okay, let me go back over here into my corner until things change.
Exactly. So I think here's the thing, right? It's okay to create space. It's okay to choose you. It's okay to make room for yourself, because it'll be good for you in the long run. It will allow you to focus on a goal that you have. I'm sure you have goals. We always have goals that we want to accomplish. And if you create some space from those toxic people, toxic things, toxic places, you can work on those goals that you want for yourself, or you can just better yourself. We can always improve. Like, we never arrive per se. So that will give you time to do that, right? And don't feel bad about it. And let me just go back. I always say I don't know why people do that. Yes, I get it as a therapist standpoint. I understand. And we work on those things, right, Dr. Mohn, with people.
Absolutely.
But I'm just saying, in general, when you look at human behavior, when we look at how complex we make things, you're like, why do we do that? Right? It's simple as that's the solution right there. But it's a struggle. But let me tell you, if you don't do those things, let me tell you what's going to happen. If you don't create space for yourself and separate from people, things, or places that are toxic for you, you're going to end up in a situation where it's going to be hard to come back out of. Eventually, you will end up there. You're going to end up in a place of guilt, severe guilt, severe pain, depression, beating up on yourself because you would have done something or engaged with somebody, something that is going to be like, okay, now you got a big problem. Just because you did not create distance for yourself to focus on what you needed to focus on. So that's, I think, a consequence, Dr. Mohn. If we don't do that sometimes, it's going to be detrimental.
Yes.
I think. Do you think any other negative consequence that comes, Dr. Mohn, from not creating space that you can think of?
Just resentment.
Just the resentment.
Yeah, you can, you end up, like you said, being, going 15 years just resenting this person. This person changed 6 years ago.
Wow.
Exactly. But it's just, you didn't separate yourself when you got sick and tired of being sick and tired. And so it's important. If they're not going the same way, and my thing is, you can have a crazy cousin that cusses all the time, whatever, and you don't, that's fine. Mm-hmm. But it's when, they are disturbing your peace is when you have to say, okay, I'm going to have to separate myself.
Yeah.
So.
Exactly. It's better for your health. It's better for your mental, emotional, and physical health if you do so. Okay. That's how simple it is. And how can you do it? Just do it. Yeah. I don't even have too many tips for you. It's just start. Well, you know what? Just slowly back away. Don't respond to every text message. Don't respond to every post if it's social media. Don't respond to every single call as soon as they call. Maybe give some time. Maybe you'll pick up the phone as soon as they call. Maybe now give it an hour. Yeah. Right. Or put your phone on do not disturb. See who's calling. Then I'll call them back later. That's how you create space. Just focus on what you want to do for you. Identify some goals. Maybe get a vision board. Focus on a vision board. And that will help you to create space for you so that you can do what's best for you, which will ultimately be good for everybody. If you're good, usually other people around you are good. Dr. Mohn, anything about this topic that you would like to share? Anything else?
No.
All right. And I will leave you with this. If you want to fly, give up everything that weighs you down. All right. So thank you for tuning into the Healing Podcast. We will talk to you soon. Bye-bye.